All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning or evening, depending on where you might be jumping in from. My name is Matt Cornwell. I'm the Associate Director for Student Services within the College of Business at the Saunders College of Business at RIT. So today is another one of our grad chat sessions, and we'll be focusing on our Master of Science program in Global Supply Chain Management. So Dr. Kevin Sweeney, who is the program director for the MS Global Supply Chain Management program, is here. And we also have a current student with us, Mamuna, who's a current MS student as well, to speak on her experiences. So we're very excited to have them both. A few logistical pieces. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. We can throw a slide up at the end that has contact information for those that want to connect with us. And we're happy to connect you with folks going forward, whether that's with Mamuna or other current students, alumni in the program, faculty, including Dr. Sweeney, or other faculty in the program. So please don't hesitate to reach out. But yeah, let's get started. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Sweeney and we'll get rolling.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Matt. I'm going to go ahead and pull up, share my PowerPoint here so that everybody can see it. Are we good?
Yes, you're good. Yep.
All right, perfect. Excellent. So welcome, prospective potential students to the MS program in Global Supply Chain Management. As Matt said earlier, I'm the program director, Kevin Sweeney. It's wonderful to get a chance to share what this program is about with you. My goal through the beginning of this talk is basically just going to be to tell you a little bit about RIT, a little bit about the background of global supply chain management here at RIT, and then talk a little bit about some of the things that our program offers, both in terms of the content that you can get in the classroom, as well as the opportunities that you have outside of the classroom to interact with industry and get involved with supply chain management professionals in the Rochester and broader New York area that allows us to potentially find you a quicker pathway to employment and opportunities that you might be looking for at the end of a program like this. All right, let's see here. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning in terms of rankings. RIT is a program that is, or a school that's increasing its rankings pretty dramatically over the past few years. We've recently been put into the top 100 schools in the nation. And in fact, we're actually up to number 88 instead of 91, as this shows here with the U.S. News and World Report as of 2026. The supply chain management program is just barely outside the top 50 and number 51, but we do have quite a good outcomes rate for our supply chain management students. That's by far the highest part of our ranking. And one of the reasons that we can do that is through our industry connections and our co-op opportunities, which I'll share a little bit with you later on. But overall, RIT is a school with a tremendous amount of opportunity. Our rankings are increasing dramatically, and there's a lot of things to look forward to if you were to end up a student in our program. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the program details so that you have an idea of what to expect. The program itself is designed to be a 12-month program with 30 credits, and the program itself is a STEM designation. What that means is that it does qualify for all of the benefits that you would get with a regular STEM program. The 12-month design of the program is a recommendation or an option, but not necessarily mandatory. If you do decide to go through the co-op pathway in our program, it can take a little bit longer, but you do get additional industry experience, and you also get a potential for a much easier opportunity for employment post-graduation. And that extra time you spend in the co-op does not cost you any money in terms of tuition or anything at RIT. If you do want to graduate quickly, we do have the ability to get you out in 12 months if you so choose. Now, the MS program is all about giving you the supply chain skills and knowledge you need to be a contributor to organizations in their supply chain function. The MS program in particular has a strong emphasis on analytical and quantitative skill sets, but we also do put a lot of emphasis on intuition necessary in order to operate in a supply chain organization, as well as the leadership skills that are necessary for you to actually go and implement the things that you learn about in your program. Some of the courses that contribute to this are things like our supply chain analytics and global business analytics courses. We also have some courses that are a little bit less technically inclined, but give you a lot more native intuition about the way supply chains operate. Particularly exporting and global sourcing is the course that does that. In terms of the actual program highlights, besides giving you skills in data analysis and analytics, as well as the intuition inside supply chain management programs, We also do offer the opportunity to work heavily with local industry partners, both in terms of your coursework and in terms of your co-op opportunities. One of the strongest things about RIT as an institution is our very, very strong co-op program. What that means is that we have a lot of really strong ties to industry partners, not only in New York, but across the country, that give our students an opportunity to go and work with those companies during their time in school to allow them to increase their skills and get experience that allows them to be more competitive in the job market. Specifically for the supply chain management MS, the main way that we do that is through our professional relationship with the ASCM, which stands for the Association of Supply Chain Management organization here in Rochester. The Rochester area has one of the largest ASCM professional chapters in New York. And as a result of our close ties with them, I'm currently on their board of directors, we're able to get a lot of interaction with high-level people in these companies and their supply chain function that you're not necessarily able to get at other places. And as a result of that, we're able to get our students opportunities in terms of co-ops or get data for things like our capstone courses that allow us to have a much stronger industry tie and give you the ability to really develop your practical skill set before you're out there actually looking for your first job outside of the MS program. And we feel that that specific link with industry here in the Rochester area is probably the biggest advantage that we have as a program, and one of the things that will give you the most practical benefit when you're looking to potentially consider a program for your graduate study. Now, in terms of the specifics of what our curriculum looks like, I'm just going to give you a brief overview here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the career opportunities that come as a result of this program. So the core, as I said before, is very heavily focused on analytics and analysis, as well as data visualization. We're not a business analytics program. We do teach you a lot of the intuition and leadership skills that go along with the ability to analyze and use data. However, we do have an emphasis on being able to take data and use it for practical decision making. And you can see that in the core with all but two of the courses in the core being those that are more focused on analysis. In terms of how you want to develop your own skill set, we have two different pathways that you can go through to augment that core course load. We have a more analytics-focused core, which takes you down the project management, Six Sigma, and advanced business analytics route. We also have a general management route that takes you more towards the team leadership route or sustainability route that allows you to contribute more to the leading of different parts of the organization rather than the analytics portion. In terms of the career outlooks, typically our starting salary range for our graduates is somewhere between $68,000 and $85,000 a year. Over the past couple of years, we've also had a 100% job placement rate, meaning that every single one of our students that's graduated with an MS in supply chain management has gotten a job in supply chain management or moved on to a PhD program in supply chain management. Some of the job titles that our students have gotten include things like demand planner, operations analyst, or supply chain analyst. And some of the companies that our alumni work for include McKinsey, the University of Rochester's medical facility, as well as Thermo Fisher Scientific, which are all great places to work and have provided our students with many different opportunities. We also do have, as I mentioned before, one student that went from our MS program to continue on to their PhD program at the University of Arkansas in supply chain management post-graduation. So if you find yourself getting really interested in the theoretical side of supply chain management, that is also an option that you might have at the end of this program. Now, one of the things that I talked a little bit about before was the co-op program. The co-op program is one of RIT's strongest components, and it gives you the ability to go out and work for a company and get that practical experience to either bring back with you to the classroom or to take with you onto the job market when you get onto the job market for real. And we also have a very significant pipeline of students that go directly from their co-op to employment. I think the number when I last heard, and Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, was about 70% of our students get their first job at one of the places that they got their co-op. So it is a very significant pipeline to getting that first job post-graduation, both at the undergraduate and at the graduate level. Some of the different companies that come here for employment, General Electric comes here. We have Starbucks, Amazon, Rochester Regional Health, Wegmans, which is a very large grocery store in the area. All of these companies have very large supply chain functions and have come here looking for our students as people to work with their organizations and improve their overall business efficiency and outcomes. We also offer a large amount of scholarship opportunities. Generally, the scholarship opportunities can range anywhere from 20 to 50%. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with how this works, given I think this has changed in the last few months. Matt, if you don't mind stepping in and giving a little bit of information about what the scholarship landscape looks like now.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So the RIT master plan is specific to any RIT student who stays for a graduate degree. So whether you're an undergrad staying for a graduate degree or even a graduate student going for another graduate degree, you would receive a 40% tuition scholarship upon acceptance. Honor students that go through the undergraduate honors program in RIT get a 50% scholarship. The one that has changed is the Master Up one here. So it is actually no longer just for New York residents. It's for anybody within the US. So your minimum scholarship threshold is basically just bumped to 30%. Now you can certainly achieve a higher scholarship, but the threshold and the minimum amount is 30%. And then we have some partnerships with colleges throughout, mostly New York State. We have a couple in Pennsylvania. Those students are also guaranteed a 30% scholarship. And we actually give one of those students from each of our partner schools a 50% scholarship. So we have about 20 of those schools. If you have a question on whether that school is one that you're attending, hopefully you know that. But if not, we can kind of provide some guidance there. But regardless, the biggest point with the scholarship piece is that everyone is considered for a scholarship. It's not necessarily guaranteed. They are merit-based as well, but that's something to be mindful of as you work through the process.
For those students that are international students, can you talk a little bit about what their scholarship package might look like?
Yeah, so the international students, it's the range is typically that 20 to 50% bucket. Now, I would say the average amount falls in that 30% to 40% range. So these kind of, bucketed kind of scholarship incentives we have, it's just a way to inform domestic students of what's available. But from an international perspective, we certainly have students securing strong scholarships from that stance as well. So a lot of availability there, and there's not a ton of differentiation there in terms of what the amounts may be. And if you are performing well, we don't necessarily hesitate in terms of giving a strong scholarship award. So be mindful of that as well, that those upper echelon ones are available if you are a strong student.
Yeah, I've been a part of that scholarship discussion in terms of giving applicants scholarships. We try to be very competitive with what we give in terms of scholarships for students that we feel have earned those, have earned it. I do want to talk a little bit about what's going on at RIT specifically. I think this is something that's pretty attractive to me personally and something that I think is pretty cool. RIT has opened up a brand new wing of the business school. So the building itself has been mostly renovated on one of its sides, which means that we have a lot of new facilities. We have some updated classrooms. We have these really awesome study areas, and it provides us with a really great place to interact with outside partners because of how nice it is. In fact, we'll be hosting an event in our new fourth floor Susan R. Holiday Center, which is basically a fourth floor atrium for the professional ASCM organization here in a couple of weeks as of this recording. And so it provides us a really nice, elegant way to interact with outside partners, and it also is a really nice space to take classes, to study in. I've really been impressed with this building since I got here, and I'm really excited that they opened this. I think it provides a lot to the institution. Now, in terms of the actual application requirements, I do want to talk a little bit about this. Matt, please feel free to jump in because you know a lot more about this than I do directly. You do need to have an undergraduate degree. Once you have that undergraduate degree, there's a whole bunch of other things that you might want to consider. The things that are the most important to point out is that for us, the GMAT or the GRE is optional for all students. We do not require the GMAT or GRE. It can certainly augment your application and help in certain cases to have it, but by no means do you need to have it in order to apply. And for international applicants, you need to make sure that you have English skills that will allow you to be successful in the program when you get here. Traditionally, we had done the TOEFL or the IELTS, but now we actually also accept Duolingo with a score of 130 or above in place of the TOEFL or IELTS if you want to go that route. Matt, would you like to go ahead and provide a little bit more detail?
For sure, yeah. So a couple things. The baccalaureate degree requirement, you have to have that degree done before you start the program, but not before you start your application. So if you are working through your program and you're in your final semester or final year, you can still be applying. So keep that in mind. You'll at the end of that program, you'll just submit your final conferred degree. We do prefer students, particularly in a program like supply chain or any of our STEM-based programs, which is the vast majority, that a little bit of background minimally in math, so algebra and specifically statistics as well. So be mindful of that.
Statistics will be important for
Yeah.
supply chain management. It's something that we're definitely going to use. But do we have a catch-up program for statistics?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So if you don't have that background, or maybe you have some lower level math courses, we can assign you some MOOCs or Coursera classes, or you could take a stats course at a community college or something like that to just bring that knowledge base up. So it doesn't discount you from applying. We can get you on a pathway to get you that coursework and get you in a place to be in a good spot before you start the program. The GMAT and GRE is optional specifically for Global Supply Chain Management program. It is also optional for a few others, but we do still have a couple other programs that require it. So just be mindful of that if you're considering multiple programs. The personal statement is something that we very, very much consider pretty heavily. That is your story, right? It's your opportunity to market yourself to us. So be mindful of that, be authentic, be concise. We don't need something that's 3, 4, 5 pages. Typically something in the 400 or 500 word count, 2 pages is sufficient. But we want to hear from you. We want to get a sense of your story and background. Current resume, so make sure that is up to date as well. We don't require work experience, but if you have some, certainly include it, and I'm sure you would if you did. But just consider those aspects as well. With the TOEFL and IELTS, that is historically what most students submit. However, it is also more costly than Duolingo. So if you are considering Duolingo, I think it's $70 compared to $250 roughly for the TOEFL or IELTS. So it is a significant cost savings. And Duolingo recently updated some of their components within the exam. That's why we're now accepting it. Previously, we weren't super fond of some of the ways in which they were assessing the language, but we have an English language center on campus. They reviewed it, felt comfortable with it. So we're pretty comfortable with, any students coming in with that as well. So so be mindful of those pieces. But yeah, from an application perspective, those are the biggest things. We do have an application fee. It is quite a bit lower than a lot of business schools. It's $65 US. A lot of business schools are over 100, some are even 200. If you do have an issue with paying that, let me know. Flip side of that is we are a private institution, so this is an investment. So, consider those things. But if that fee waiver will help you, I often will ask students to submit, some of their background a little bit just to assess your preparedness for the program. But if you're a strong applicant, we need to waive that fee. We can work through those steps as well. But yeah, those are the big things from an application perspective.
Perfect. So if you're potentially interested in the program, obviously you can just start your application at rit.edu/apply. If you want to get some more information about the program, and we'll have a slide, I think, later that has our contact information later, but there is a specific email for graduate education, gradbus@saunders@rit.edu, that will allow you to get in contact with someone down in student service. I believe student services runs that email, right?
Yes, that goes directly to me. So again, if you want to connect with me, if you want to connect with Kevin, if you want to connect with current students, send that email. It comes through to us and we can facilitate all of those connections.
Yep. All right. Perfect. And that's all I have for the brief overview. I think now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Matt, who will have a small discussion with Mamuna as a current student. She's a great student, by the way. Love Mamuna. And then we'll go ahead and end it after that. So Matt, I'll go ahead and toss this back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Again,
All right. Let me go
really
ahead.
good insights here. And yeah, very, very excited to continue the conversation with Mamuna. So Mamuna, if you could just give us kind of your background, undergraduate background, where you're from, and things like that, and then we'll start with some of those questions that we talked about.
Thanks, Matt. So I am an international student, actually here on a Fulbright scholarship award from Sierra Leone. I have a background in procurement, actually specifically public procurement. I work for the public procurement regulatory body back home, and I picked up interest in supply chain because of the environment that I was working in and had the opportunity to be here. So it has been really great being here. I had my first degree in linguistics. I did a master's in public administration and now pursuing the global supply chain management here at RIT.
Awesome. Thank you, Mamuna. Appreciate that. So we'll start fairly high level, but why did you choose RIT for graduate study?
For RIT, I was specifically drawn to its strong reputation for experiential learning and its strong connection to industry. And also, when I looked up the Global Supply Chain Management Program online, I saw that it's perfectly aligned with my background and my career goal in procurement, logistics, and sustainability.
Great. Thank you. And then how have you felt RIT, Saunders, and the program in general has prepared you for your future career?
Being here and being in this program has actually equipped me with both strategic and analytical skills through simulations, case-based learning, and also team projects. I have gained a lot of problem-solving skills that I can take back home to my job and make informed decisions. And I think I am ready for the next phase in my career.
And today is actually the career fair at RIT. So as of
Yes,
October 8th of this recording.
I'm
So
going there right after the Zoom.
and Kevin, you said we have over 50 employers looking at
Yeah.
Yes.
supply chain students, which is incredible. That is
Yeah, the growth in supply chain has been dramatic. I would say in the past, so I've only been here at RIT for 2 years now. Last year there were about 250 employers, and there were maybe 20 to 30 firms looking for supply chain talent. This year, the number of employers actually dropped a little bit from 250, I think, to 230, but the
Yeah.
number of firms looking for supply chain talent almost doubled from 20 to 30 to 50, which is a pretty crazy increase. And that says a lot about the way that supply chain is perceived by companies now, even in circumstances where there might be a little bit of an economic slowdown. The hunger for supply chain talent is still quite high, and in fact growing tremendously as the world becomes more global in the way that their industries and their trade works.
Yeah, it's just a testament to the field itself, the program, the career's outcomes, as you saw, 100%. That's incredible. So Mamuna, the other question I would have kind of along the lines of coursework you've done, what are some of the favorite courses that you've been able to take, and why were those some of your favorites?
So whilst you were asking me, I actually just smiled because my favorite actually was import, export, and global sourcing.
That that's the
And
course I teach for reference.
yes, and that was taught by Professor Sweeney. Fortunately, that was the first course I actually took when I got here. And I am glad that it was because it was just the best class I was in. It just confirmed that I made the right decision to be here. Aside the content, the way the materials were prepared and presented captivated not only me, but everybody in that class. I had a chat with few students, my classmates afterwards, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is actually a great course," and the professor actually knows his stuff, and that's actually my favorite course. But then even the content itself and its relevance to today's world and what I do, the goals that I have, the way that we will switch classes to discuss issues that were happening currently in the industry. I remember we had to make some changes to talk about the tariffs when we had all those tariffs flying up and down.
Mhm.
And that's the bit when I talk about the experiential learning and talking about things that are happening currently. So yes, that's my best. And this is my last semester. So far, as I come to the end of my program, it still stands out as my best course. I
Mhm.
also liked sustainability. I took a course in sustainability, more so because I didn't really give much thought to sustainability before I came here. But being in that class just made me realize that businesses do not have to only focus or actually make time for profit, but also how their operations impact the people and the environment. And I actually really liked and immersed myself in that course. So that was my second best. I also liked the negotiation skills
Mhm.
because we did real simulations. I loved the progress I made from the first simulation, how timid I felt, how uncomfortable I was, and how comfortable I now felt by the last simulation exercise.
Mhm.
And aside that, I took operations management, a few other courses that I really liked. I see the relevance of all the courses I took to what I do currently and my career goals. But then those three actually
Mhm.
stand out for me: the import, export, and global sourcing, the supply chain sustainability, and also the negotiation skills. And of course, I took analytics classes, which were new for me, but then I am enjoying them.
Mhm. I'll say, just to kind of throw something in there first, thanks. That was a wonderful compliment.
Yeah.
But also, when I talked earlier about like the two different paths that we have, a more analytical path and a more management level path, I can tell that for Mamuna specifically, the management path I think really resonated with her specifically, and for other students potentially it might be the analytic path that resonates with them. And we have faculty on both of those pathways that really care a lot about what's happening in industry. That's in fact the reason why I teach the way that I do and why a lot of the professors in here teach the way they do. Industry tells us things, tells us what they're worried about, tells us what they want students to have knowledge in, and we try our best to incorporate that directly, not merely in an overarching curriculum, but even on a class to class basis, depending on what the topics of the moment are.
Yeah, and I think Mamuna, you did a great job of also highlighting that RIT is known for our co-op program, right? But also the experiential learning that happens in the classroom as well. It's not just theory based. You are doing, tangible things, simulations, things like that that you can really experience. Data sets I know are often brought into classes as well from real companies, so you can analyze those things. So I think that's important to be mindful of too.
Mhm.
Um, so, and Moon, I apologize because I don't know that we had a chance to speak about this, but are you involved in any extracurricular activities?
Uh, I try to make time for events.
Okay.
Actually,
Mm.
when in the spring semester, I remember Professor Sweeney actually brought in a few guest speakers from
Mhm.
industry. We had someone from the auto industry. We also had a guest from supply chain consultancy. We
Yes.
also had a guest from is it an ammunition manufacturing farm?
So it was, I think you mean L3 Harris, right?
Yes, L3
Yes. So
Harris.
they're a defense contractor. So they do more than that, but that is one of the things that they do. Yes.
Yeah, so I make time to attend those events. I've also attended other networking events. One was organized by the sustainability department.
Mm.
I've been to a few activities, and I learned a lot of things there and made lots of connections too.
Awesome. Great. Kevin, is there anything you want to highlight from an extracurricular standpoint, just with
Mhm.
the professional organizations, or expand
Yep.
on that? I know we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, so we have a student chapter of that ASCM professional organization here on campus. It's called ASCM at RIT. That organization is open to both graduate and undergraduate students. Even though the population of that organization had been primarily undergraduate focused in the past, it's now much more diverse in terms of the student body that gets involved in it. We also are beginning, I think, starting this spring, and I'm sorry, Mamuna, you may not get a chance to take advantage of this, but we're going to start doing case competitions in supply chain management where we take a group of students from RIT who are either MS students or MBA students or a combination of both, and take them to case competitions to compete against other teams of master's students from other institutions in trying to solve a supply chain problem. And when you do that, you get an opportunity to analyze some data, come up with a solution to something, and then present that solution to a group of industry professionals. It's a wonderful way to get some practice in problem solving in stressful situations. It's a great way to network with industry in different areas. Like I think the competition we're considering this spring is in Dallas, Texas, for example. It's also a really good way to network with students of other programs, places that have I would say a longer history in supply chain. You know, we're a relatively newer program. Places like Michigan State, Arizona State, where there's students that have, that are coming from a program with a little bit more legacy that allows you to really get to know people who you'll be working alongside in the future. You know, the people that you meet who are MS or MBA students from other institutions are going to be the people who are your colleagues when you graduate from our program and start working in industry. And those contacts can be extremely valuable for you, not only in the short term, but also potentially in the long term as you and move throughout your careers. You may run into some people, again, that you never would have expected as a result of meeting them through these kinds of opportunities.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. All right, and Mamoon, I think we'll end on this question. But what's one piece of advice you would give our attendees or our viewers of the content today?
So I would just like to recommend the Global Supply Chain Management Program at RIT. It's a very good program if you are interested in being in supply chain. I came here, if I am to now measure what I have learned in the supply chain industry to the level that I was, it's actually worlds apart, honestly. The things that I didn't give much thought to, the things that I didn't really know much, but I see them around, but really never give much thought to. And I can now see them and process them and know the mechanics behind them. It's a very good program. It's experiential based, like you learn the things that are relevant to today's world and today's industry, and the opportunities are there. The staff at Saunders, they are the best I have really met. For background, I actually gain admission into another university before I came to RIT, and I had the opportunity to just have a bit of an experience. It's different. I'm not saying this because I am on this webinar. I remember I had an issue in one of the classes, in the former university before I came to RIT and went to the professor. The professor actually asked me to look for one of the students in the class who was doing well so that they can help me. That is basically different from my experience here. All the challenges I have had, if I send an email, I'll get an instant response. If I want a Zoom meeting, I get it. I take opportunity of office hours. Professors have basically held my hand through the program. Whatever help I have asked for, I got. So the global supply chain management course is really good, and the one at RIT is the best.
Thank you, Mamoon. I appreciate that and appreciate all your insights. It's been really good to hear from you and very insightful stuff. So really appreciate your time. Kevin, anything else that you want to add as we wrap up?
I don't think anything could follow that up.
No,
I'm
I
good.
agree. All right, thank you everyone for joining us. Please keep an eye out for informational sessions. We do hold things throughout the fall, and then we do offer things in the spring as well. So if you're looking at a fall 2025 start, or 26, I'm sorry, start, keep an eye out for that. We will have some other current student panels, alumni panels as well, along with we typically do a faculty roundtable in the spring as well. So keep an eye out for those things. But feel free to reach out. Any questions? Again, earlier we discussed the email gradbus@saunders.rit.edu. So feel free to reach out and we'll connect with you. But thank you again. Have a great day and hope to talk with you all again soon.
Bye.